Okay, so what am I doing?
Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining. Well, I've decided to create a birthday party in a soap. What I'm doing now is melting down some beeswax. Now, why would I be melting down beeswax? Well, I'm going to use it as a fixative to hold some molds that I've made in. So I'm going to show you. So this is just my regular PVC mold. Well, I've taken those same type of cutting boards, plastic cutting boards, and made 3 smaller circles and just taped them together. As you can see, it's a pretty cruddy job there, but it will do the job. That's going to be my balloons for my birthday party soap. And I'm just putting them inside the PVC pipe just to hold them in place. To seal the bottom, I'm going to be pouring the beeswax down inside of the main PVC tube, then sitting those 3 tubes down inside into the beeswax to form a seal on the bottom of them. And that way, the soap won't leak out when I pour it down. I'm going to be creating 3 different colors and pouring a different color down each of those tubes. And actually, it's successful. This is one that works, which is a little surprising when you see the process that I went through to get there. I'm going to be using some of my own melt and pour that I created, and you can see that in another video. I'll be using that along with just a regular cold process soap as the main base, and then the 3 melt and pours will be within there. So I've now melted the beeswax. And to get it down to the bottom without it splashing on the sides, I've just taken a couple paper towel rolls and pressed one inside the other just for the height. Then I'm pouring the beeswax down inside the paper tube rolls so that it will reach down into the bottom, which is what I'm doing now. I've got that poured. Now I'm removing the paper towel rolls from the bottom. Sorry about my hair in the way again, it always is. So now I'm setting the 3 smaller tubes down inside to form a seal. And it's a little wobbly, so I'm going to take a piece of tape and just put over those 3 to hold them in place so that they don't move around until that. And that's what I'm trying to do with one hand while holding it. I want to tape these in place while the beeswax sets up on the bottom, which just takes a few minutes actually. So this is me doing my one-handed taping, which I did okay. I've done worse. I've done better. But these don't really need to be centered or anything because this is just for the purpose of having a place to keep them. And I wanted them inside this bigger tube just to hold them in place, and also so if they fell over anything, well, they'd be contained within the larger one. So that was really the whole purpose. And so what I'm going to do is melt down some of my previously made melt and pour here and color it, all 3 of them, 3 different colors. I'm going to do a red, I'm going to do a yellow, and I'm going to do a green. Sounds like Christmas,
so yes,
doesn't
I
it?
have the pan back up here because
And then I'm going to pour those into the individual molds. So this is just a little video of me taking the melt and pour, and I'm just explaining how I'm going to melt it down. I have that had the beeswax in there. If you look down at the bottom, there's a little tiny bit of beeswax left. I'm not worried about that. With as much as melt and pour as I'm putting in here, it's not going to have any major effect. Now you may wonder, well, why is he using melt and pour for the embeds? Well, my original idea was that they would create a glass-like effect that you could see through and kind of have a stained glass look to it, like a real balloon, right? Where you can shine a light behind them. And actually that does work with one of them, but not with all of them. But that was my original thought. But once I got into this and melting it down and stuff, I thought, I could have used any soap and just colored it 3 ways. I didn't have to use this melt and pour that I had made to do it. But I'm actually glad I did, and I'll tell you why. It does give a special kind of translucence. You can't see through them. And like I said, you can shine a light through the individual bars, especially through the yellow, which is really cool. But it just gives them a much richer color. You'll see what I mean when we're done here. So what I was trying to show you there is that it has now solidified on the bottom of the beeswax and is holding the rings in place. Or holding the individual smaller molds in place, I should say. So this part's boring. It's just me waiting for the wax to melt. I just have a simple induction burner there and a cheap pan that happens to have a induction ring on the bottom of it. And then I've got a measuring cup on top of glass measuring cup with the melt and pour. So I'm just doing sort of a handmade double boiler here.
Well, I almost have it melted here. Well, I say almost. It's getting there.
And now for the drudgery part. This is just me scraping down the sides, trying to keep it liquid, because this stuff on top here isn't stuff I necessarily want to pour down those tubes, because I want to keep this as light conductive as possible. That was the plan here, because these are, after all, balloons, right? So I want them to be just look as great as they can. So here I have a color. I have got 3 different containers with color in them. Like I said, green, red, and yellow. And yeah, I'm just showing there, it's just Wilton food coloring. That's all this is that I'm using, which I like to use it. It's food grade, you can eat it. I'm not suggesting you eat your soap, of course, but it's certainly safe to use. The color does come out in the water, like when you wash your hands or you bathe with it, but it rinses off the skin. It doesn't stain. And I really like using it, at least in translucent melt and pour that I've made. I'm sure there are other I know there are other colorants on the market. Brambleberry, Nurture Soaps, and several different places sell some fantastic colorants. This is what I had on hand, and I actually went a little overboard with it, which was sort of the issue here. I put a little too much in my colors, so it took away from some of the translucency. So here's the green here, and you can see how dark that is. Which dark is fine, but I have so much in there, it's practically like just any other cold process soap. You can't really tell what it is. Anyway, and you can see some of the plops going in there, which I didn't want, but I will tell you that in the end it kind of makes it look like malachite. I'm not kidding, it really did. So I know the trick to this is actually to keep everything hot so your melt and pour doesn't re-solidify. You can see how quickly it does. Luckily, I had enough to make it. I had to remelt this, actually, what was in the funnel. I had to take it and remelt it and pour it back to refill it. It's because it was still about 2 inches from the top. So I went and I remelted the green so that I could add that back in. Sorry for the delay here. I actually went into the microwave because I just wanted to give it a couple 30-second blasts, which I came back and did and topped it off. I just didn't turn the camera on in time, but you can see there it's now the green is full to the top. And again, I was having to move so quickly because of the fast setup time. I just poured the yellow in before I hit the camera button, but that's what it was. And you can see it's kind of caving in a little on the top if you look at those individual tubes. So it actually, as I poured it in and it cooled, it kind of dropped down a bit, which is no big deal for what I needed it for. I didn't need it. I didn't need them this long, which you'll see I'll end up cutting them down anyway. I did plan for this. I knew I'd have to cut off the ends, possibly. And maybe then some. So now I'm just getting the last bit ready here for the red. So here I'm just mixing up the last bit into the red, trying to get it stirred up quickly so that I can get it in, because this stuff cools so fast. As a matter of fact, if I could come up with a way of having a heated cup or pourer, and I know there are such things out there, little metal ones, but generally they're aluminum, and of course you can't use that with anything live, but for this melt and pour it might be ideal. That would keep it hot right up to the pour, so I'm going to actually look into something like that. And I'm sorry my head is always in the way. It's the curse of my hair. Here I'm just cleaning out. There was a plug from the yellow, which I should have. I just forgot to clean out the funnel in between, so that slowed me down. See how quickly it cools and starts solidifying? But this time I was faster, and I'm pouring really fast to get it in there. It actually overflowed on me a bit here, made a little mess, but again, it doesn't matter, because as long as the tubes are full, all is well, or near full. So now I'm just going to clean up the mess here and let these set up.
Well, okay.
So here they are. I've taken them out of the individual tubes. And again, you know, they look like candlesticks, don't they? Do you see kind of the malachite appearance of the green? It's kind of cool in a way, but they're not translucent the way I wanted them to. But believe me, once they're in soap and they're sliced, they do look great.
It doesn't take that much.
As you'll see. But
I don't know what I was thinking. I guess I
overall effect, I was very happy with. I mean, they're my tubes that I need, and for a homemade mold, I'm very happy with.
They look like candles, don't they?
And there's me trying to hold them up to the camera correctly.
So change of plans.
And
instead of my
so that's those.
Windows,
so what I'm going to
do
with these is actually I cut them to size, and with the parts that I cut off, I've shaved those into little curls.
So change your
and I'll
plan,
show you those here in
I
just
think
a
it'll
moment.
still be something
And
interesting.
the purpose of that is
I'll see you
to
back in a
add
minute.
to like the confetti for the balloons.
So since this didn't
So
turn
there
out,
on the bottom
just
left
the
there,
way
you
I
can
hoped,
see these are the
there's
shavings from
Soapy
those
and
very
Soapy.
items that I just made.
I came up with another
And
idea.
here I'm just making up a
Mix
base
some
of,
lye
this is just
water,
my regular
then
coconut oil, olive oil, all the other goodies. That's my lye water that I'm adding in. This has all the same ingredients that I use in most every
These
soap
aren't the
that I
worst
make.
things ever for me.
The only
So-
variation is in this one,
soap sticks,
I
right?
have mango butter in place
There's
of
nothing
my
wrong with
shea or
them.
cocoa
They're
butter.
great soap. I'd be happy to wash
And I am
my
going to add some TD
hands
to
with
this
them, or
just to
maybe with
lighten the base a bit,
But,
so
kinda
that
hard to
those
bake with
colors
a
really do
stick,
pop.
right?
Because they'll, for instance, the
So-
red, you can see there, it's a little more muted than I
Since I
would have
didn't get my
liked.
stained glass,
Next time, I
I've
think
been thinking about how I could do
I will use something that has more
So
red
what I did is I
than
spread
just
it
that
out
red food
some.
coloring, because it didn't really give me the color that I
Okay.
wanted.
And
It's more of a
the
pink,
individual
actually.
curls are actually
I'm happy with it as a
they're
blue, but as a
semi-translucent.
shred, they just didn't quite have
You can see
the
here.
pow that I wanted.
They're somewhat translucent.
But what I'm going to do with those is I'm going to line the
Yeah.
bottom of the
So I'll be
mold
putting
with
these,
those. I'm
in
going
my
to then
mold,
put
or into my
a couple of
soap.
the rods that
And then
we'll just call them
putting it
rods for the
into
time
the
being.
mold, or putting
On
these
top
in
of
the
those, then add some, then pour in some of my soap, my cold process soap over that, and then layer on more of the shavings, and then the rods. That's my colorant there. Since this was sort of a party, the whole idea of this was a party, this has a little bit of everything, but it smells great. I have pear essential oil. I have lavender essential oil. I have a little bit of lemon essential oil. I have cherry essential oil. And one other, and I added a little bit of what did I add? A little bit of the bubble gum fragrance to it, just to give it a little fun. Add a little fun to the fragrance. So I mixed these in. I was so hoping that this didn't turn into something really thick, because I haven't had great luck these past couple batches. I've been getting really thick trace when I just barely touch the blender to it, whether there's a fragrance in it or not. Now, I have since discovered why that's happening. What I've been doing lately is letting my oils and my lye water cool to room temperature. Well, lately room temperature has been pretty cold. So what's happening, because I do use, coconut, we use cocoa butter, use coconut oil, several mango butter, whatever the case may be in these. At cooler temperatures, those start to re-solidify. So I leave it to room temperature, come back a few hours later, and then add a add the lye water to it and then give it a stick blend, well, what's going to happen to all those solid fats, right? And that's exactly, I think that's what's happening to me. Normally, I live in Texas. I live in Northeast Texas, where it's starting to get warm actually now. Still cool inside, but it's starting to. But I also had something interesting happen with my fragrance blend in this. Again, didn't affect the outcome of the soap, but it started to rise, and I've just not had that happen. I've had a lot of things happen, but I haven't had ricing yet. So this is my first ricing. I felt so proud. And it was very disappointing when I was pouring it. Matter of fact, I made enough here for a full loaf, but with all the stuff I'm putting in it, I had quite a bit of this left over, and I poured it into some individual molds, and it looked like oatmeal. It really did. It was lumpy and bumpy, and but in the end, everything worked out, and I'm not sure how that is, but it did. So now, as I stated, I'm putting some of the shreds in the bottom of the mold here. I tried to distribute the colors as evenly as I could because these are going to act like the strings, streamers from the balloons, and I just wanted to make sure that they were evenly distributed because I didn't want all yellow all together, all the green together. I really wanted to separate it up because the balloons are solid colors, and I just thought it would be fun to have more variation with those. And it works out, actually. I have never done anything quite like this. Now, the last time I tried to do embeds, I realized I had a few too many there. I changed my mind. The last time I did something like this, my soap fell apart, but that was my fault because I put the stuff so thick the soap couldn't get through it and the pieces just came apart. I was a bit more careful here. So I say, now one thing I would do different here. You'll see there that there's not really space on the sides of those balloons. Okay, they're pushed up against the outside with room in the middle. What I should have done is actually made those a little bit smaller, which I can remodify my mold to do that, but I'm going to make them smaller next time. See, I just wrapped those around a PVC pipe, taped them, and then poured hot water on them so they would hold their shape, then cold water. But I think I'm going to use something smaller next time. That way they can have space on both sides. So the reason I disappeared here is I'm pounding down the soap into it, because as you can see it's pretty thick. So I just wanted to make sure it really got down in there. Now, and then I'm putting this one, as you can see, the final one on top. And again, live and learn, right? I will next time make these smaller. That way there's more space for the soap to get. And it did work pretty well. This batch works really, I think, I'm very happy with the way this turned out. But there are a couple of air pockets where the soap didn't really get in because the soap got so thick it didn't move real fluidly through everything. So next time, more careful. But I'm going to recreate this in the future for parties and that sort of thing, and just giveaways, because I love the way it turned out. As you'll see here in just a moment. At this point, I've pretty much exhausted everything. There are just that's some pieces of beeswax laying there, and some of the very ends that I couldn't shave without slicing my fingers with that little vegetable strainer. And I'm pouring over another layer. I promise I'm getting a haircut, and I don't know. I have somehow got soap in my hair. I see a soap curl in my hair. Oh, gee whiz! How did I manage that? I don't know. My hair catches everything. I have curly hair. As I've got older, of course, it's got wider there. And if I can go for a walk in the woods and come back with stick. So the fact it has soap in it, I guess, isn't surprising. I don't think I'll edit it out. Hopefully you get a laugh out of it. So I'm just pounding this down a bit, and This was so thick and ricey. Look at it. As you can see there, just couldn't get it to do much of anything. Here I'm just trying to press the sides of the mold up. That's the only thing about these. These were inexpensive Amazon molds. I think these were $10 each. I bought 3 of them. The mold doesn't hold great to the sides. If I could come up with a way to get them to just stay up against the sides, I'd be very happy. But this stuff is so thick. And because of the riciness of it, it really wouldn't do much. I could. But then I had an idea. For Pete's sake, this is birthday. This is happy party time. Well, I have some candy items that you can use for decorating cakes. And I thought, I've seen other people use those sort of things in soap, and since it's just for the top, it seemed like a great idea. So here they are, and I found some colors that I thought would coordinate well with this, and I think they did. Now, this doesn't have blue in it, I understand that, but I thought green would just make it a little too Christmassy. So, since I'd already done the green balloon, I thought I'll do blue on top. And that really was a conscious decision, I promise. I have some green, and but overall, this came out great. Should I have peaked the center? I think I should have. And going forward, I'll put a little more thought into that. I was thinking more about the inside of the soap, to be quite honest, and when it got all ricey on me, I really got kind of disappointed. But here, let's take a look at the cut now. Alright, so I let this sit. I put it in the fridge, actually. I did not let this gel because I wasn't sure how the melt and pour, my homemade melt and pour, would actually react. So I just decided to do it in the fridge. So here we go. Sorry, that's a little blurry, isn't it? I'm not sure why. But see the balloons? Don't they look like balloons? They look like balloons to me. Okay, you have to use a little imagination. But I'll cut a few more for you here just so you can take a look. It sure put me in a festive mood. I was really happy with these because they smell great too, by the way. They smell like a party to me. But balloons, confetti, and you can see there on the side there's a little gap there. That's where the balloon was right up against the side of the mold. That's why I said there needs to be some space between the actual insert and the main bar of soap so that it can form properly all the way around like the other two are there. The green actually did manage to get down in there. It's just the yellow one that didn't. So what I might have to do in the future is just do a little movement, get a stick down in there and just push them inward a little bit. So it's there, you can see the whole side of that is the yellow side. See, so it was a little closer to the side. But yeah, so that's it. These are the birthday cake. What do you think? Let me know. Do you have questions? Do you have suggestions? I'm all ears. Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate that you're coming back and viewing these. I know that there's so much to see out there, and I'm out there seeing it too. I love watching soap making videos, but I just appreciate that you spend a little time here with me too. So have a great day. You can go ahead and continue watching the rest of this, and thanks so much, and have a great day. Goodbye. So thanks everyone.